Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Before we start today's fabulous video, I want to let you know that I have just released a brand new card making class on my website, natashafootecreative.com, and this one is called Bursting Brilliance. We work with some explosion powders, some pigment powders, but of course this is a flexible course where you can use whatever you have in your stash. That is what is most important to me, that you can make use of your products. So if you would like to see this course, you can follow along at your own pace in the comfort of your own craft space and absolutely make the most of this new course. Of course, there are absolutely other things there too. I have some other card making classes as well as a whole lot more videos. The link will be in the description, or head over to natashafootecreative.com and I will see you there. Well, as usual, I want to keep challenging myself in my hobby and enjoying this. So today I'm actually going to be using some 12 by 12 cardstock sheets. Now this is not usually one that I would maybe go for. This is called Everyday Junque. Now this is a gorgeous set of 12 by 12 inch papers. Now this is actually the front cover here, but I feel like we could cut out lots of these designs and use these individually today. Now I'm actually going to be card making today, but there is also a plus side to getting the 12 by 12 sheets. Now inside this one there actually comes a full 12 by 12 sheet of stickers as well. Now this is a gorgeous sheet of stickers. There are a couple of different kinds in here though. Now these ones here don't have any white border to them. They are kind of a cardstock sticker, I would say. They're not flimsy at all, whereas these ones down here, these ones have a white border to them. So some do, some don't, and that's just, you know, how this sheet is. That's okay. There are a lot of stickers jam-packed into here. Now this is the actual 12 by 12 sheets. I'm going to whiz through these pretty fast, and the good thing is that they are double-sided and there is 2 of every single design. Now this is going to help me for a couple of reasons, because as I said, there is a bonus to getting the 12 by 12 sheets and the 12 by 12 size rather than the 6 by 6 or 6 by 8 that I might usually get for creating cards. Now this one is going to challenge me because there are sort of a lot of background images in here rather than focal points. So this one we are going to have to dig deep, I promise, but we can make it work. Now the great news is that also you can buy each one of these sheets individually. So if there's one that you like in particular, then you can order them. I have done that quite often when I really like 1 or 2 sheets out of the entire pack. I don't need the whole thing, but I really love a couple. Now there are lots of tags on this side for this one, and then on the back there is this gorgeous bold stripe print. We're going to be using that today for sure. These floral elements, we can definitely make some of these work as well. And then take some of the ideas that they have also used in their little clusters that they have printed on these sheets, and we can recreate that, so to speak. Now I'm going to go through these cards, and I'm actually going to play a bit of music today, so you can either mute it, you can just watch it, or you can have it on in the background if you so please, but you can pretty much see everything I'm doing. I will pop in and out with the voice along the way, explaining a couple of the things that I'm doing. These are sort of background prints, so to speak. There's a lot of text, there's a lot of music notes, there's a lot of stripes, there's a lot of sort of notepad looking paper, and for this I really wanted to limit any extra supplies. I truly wanted to use very few, so I'm going to bring in these vintage label dies, and I think that's pretty much all I'm going to use. I just needed a little bit of something for these. Now I am going to do a few different fold cards, just again to keep it interesting. So I have this sort of uneven gatefold style card that I'm going to be starting off with. I'm going to fussy cut out a couple of images. I've got some of the music paper that I have used with the vintage labels die, and then I've also ripped a couple of other bits and pieces. I will glue these on, layer them up, and then I'm going to pop them straight across the center of the music notes, and then just trim any extra that's going to hang off the edge. This is going to create a little focal point for our gatefold card. And then obviously for the gatefold card, when it comes to creating the layers on it, my preference is to go 1/8 of an inch smaller each time. So just, it doesn't matter where you fold it. I tend to do 1 1/4 on the right hand side. And then so it becomes, you know, 1/8 of an inch smaller depending on how many layers you use. For this one, I've chosen to use 2 layers, and that bold stripe is actually a fantastic layering piece. It creates a gorgeous border around so many of today's elements. So I really am going to use that to my advantage, because there's not really lighter and darker pieces in this 12 by 12 pack. It's a bit of a different one, and it was quite a challenge for me. So if you are seeing something glaringly obvious that you're like, this is what you could have done, this would have been great, then let me know in the comment section down below, because I really enjoyed challenging myself a little bit. I really love putting together 6 by 6 packs as well and creating lots and lots of cards out of it. But this one was fun. It was a little bit different for me. It's probably not designed for cards, or there are other elements that you can purchase alongside it, like die cut ephemera. They have a whole lot of different little elements that often help put these together. Now, I did think about purchasing those and adding them into the video, but I think this is just a really fun way to do it, because, as I said, there is a bonus element to the 12 by 12, and that is I want to make a matching envelope for each one of these cards. So I'm going to show you how I do that. What I have done is, you know how I said that there were 2 of every design? I have taken 1 of every design. So I am working with 6 sheets. That's what I'm cutting into, and I'm going to leave 6 of the sheets because I want these to each have an envelope that is going to coordinate nicely. So I'll show you how I create them in this video as well, just in case you are interested. And again, this is just a little fun challenge for me. Now, there are some words and some sayings on here. Not all of them are what I would use for a card, but that doesn't mean that you can't just pick some of the words out. And, you know, I have cut these on, and I'm going to outline them with a little black fine liner pen. And here is the second card already done. Now, for the next one, I'm just going to get this gorgeous little cluster of white and yellow. Now, I could have gone straight down here, but I didn't love the bottom part of that. I just wanted this focal point here, these gorgeous flowers. And again, I'm going to have some words or script in the background. And yeah, this was a really, really fun one. But as I said, it did challenge me. So let me know what you are seeing that you could do with these. I absolutely did not exhaust everything. This is already a really, really long video as it is for me. And I could have kept going, obviously, but you know, I wanted to give you several different ideas of what we could do. So this one here, I'm going for a little bit more of a cluster, I guess, just picking a few different elements. That beautiful sort of solid green color there is going to ground this a little bit because we have the text in the background as well. And that's kind of something that is a little bit tricky with this. I wish there were almost a few more solid colors that we could use. Solid colors are going to work well as a background piece or a matting layer, particularly when all of the patterns are really busy. Now, this full saying here, I actually am just going to pick out a few of these words and create a new saying myself. So just because you don't like or it doesn't fit the card that you have in mind or that you are creating or the vibe that you're going for, then that's okay, because we can use these all as individual words. And you might even go for, like when I was a little girl, we used to cut individual letters out of magazines and, you know, write words with them and write letters with them. And so that's what this reminds me of. You can take several different fonts and pop them together and make that an element of your card. So I really like this, and it just says the world needs you. And so I think that's just a really uplifting, encouraging, gorgeous little sentiment to pop on. And again, made up from a different sentiment than the original one. Now this one here, all of the strips that I had torn off from the previous piece, I thought this would actually make a really good element as a background to the card. So I used 2 that had the straight edge, and I put them down the left and right hand side of my card. And then for this one, I'm going to I just made a few more of the same using the same text, and I just ripped it, and I wanted those gorgeous white edges to show through, so I'm just going to use this as a background element. Now actually, if you wanted to, you could rip this and create a do a weaving, you know, weave them in and out and have a full background. I have videos on my channel that show you how you can go about that too, but I just didn't even go for the weaving. I'm just doing these gorgeous little ripped sort of elements, and then I'm using one of the rose stickers from the front. I've got a couple of solid pieces, that solid green, which is coming in handy. And then I had some numbers cut off from a different little strip there, and I thought, yeah, that adds an extra little element of interest. Again, probably my favorite piece in there is that striped background piece, and so that is going to offset this layer as well. Again, it just helps that green stand out from the similar colors of the text in the background. It breaks up that background a little bit, and so I'm using that to my advantage in most of the cards today, actually. As I said, I don't think this was designed as a card making a card making kit, so to speak. It's more of a 12 by 12. It's more of scrapbooking and perhaps even art journaling and things like that, taking some of the tags and using the individual elements. It probably wasn't meant to use it as I have today, but as I said, that's part of the challenge for me, and I enjoy stepping out of my comfort zone. And as much as I enjoy getting a card making kit or doing things entirely from scratch, I enjoy taking something that wasn't necessarily, the plan and challenging myself in that way too. I think it's good for me to step outside of my comfort zone in all of these different ways, but not all of the time. Sometimes I just like to do the easier techniques or the quicker techniques or using pre-made elements, and then other times I like to go completely from scratch. I like to make it myself. I like to change the way it was intended. There's a big, huge range of paper crafting ideas out there, and just because you prefer one day doesn't mean, you can't change it up and do something different the next day. I just know that helps my brain, and sometimes I feel like doing more and, lots of thinking and measuring or something like that, and other times, I just feel like quiet, easy crafting, but being in my craft space. So I'm going to use my little Spellbinders trimmer here. This guillotine trimmer is perfect. I am absolutely loving this one, and it cuts beautifully and straight, and it's got a nice easy arm that goes up and down, super duper easy, beautiful. I don't have to worry about replacing blades, which is one of the main things that I changed to this one from, and I just like the ease of using this brand in particular, because I do have other brands, but this one is definitely my favorite. Now for this one, again, I've just used that gorgeous quote on a background piece there, and then I used that stripy background on both of them to matte both of them, and again help them stand out from one another. So that's a really quick, simple card there. And then this one here is just going to be another side gatefold card, and I absolutely love this look. It's just a little bit different. If you want to do the normal gatefold, you just meet them directly in the middle. So this one is just a little bit offset. And I have a whole video as well on my channel about using these if you search the side gatefold or gatefold cards, and it gives you ideas on how you can create these with just whatever you have, not necessarily using this one, but again, just using that diagonal pattern to create the matting layers on here from a very busy background pattern. And again, I just think I leave that white border, and that's also going to help us with a little bit of separation here. Or maybe definition is the word that I'm thinking of to help that stand out a bit more. Okay, so we are just about to finish off another side gatefold, and this time I'm going to take 3 of those little stickers. I've put them on some white cardstock to give them a nice border to help them stand out against a background that is somewhat similar in colors to them. And then I'm just using my little scissors to go straight, those nice easy straight cuts, and these are going to create the little focal feature that is going to go down the side of my gatefold. And so remember, when you're doing a gatefold, that you only want to glue half of the image. Make sure you don't go the whole thing, otherwise we will glue the card shut. So for this one, I'm going to do the 3 down there. Now, I almost could have left this just as is, but I did decide that I would add another little element on there, given that I have this gorgeous sheet of stickers. So I've chosen this one here. Again, I'm going to put it on a little white background just to help it stand out, because we have a pretty busy background going on there. But there is a white border because the card base is white, so there's a white border around the whole lot there. And so I think the white border around each one of these elements really brings it all together. It's a little cohesive element that we're going to share throughout all of it. And so I'm going to pop this one on some foam tape and have it sit just here. So that is another card finished. Now for the next one, I wanted to explain the next one a little bit just because it was a little bit different. As I said, I'm trying to show you a few different cards in a few different folds that you are able to do. For this one, there are lots of these gorgeous stickers, so we're actually going to create an entire background with these. Now they're sort of like little tickets and little labels and little elements like that I am actually just going to pop all of these together. I am going to leave a little white border in between them. Now this one here, it was a little big and I was like, I'll cut it in half and then pop it there. Well, it didn't quite fit. I didn't cut it in the right spot, so I'm actually just going to pop these on the edge of my craft desk and use them a little bit further down. And this one here, I just start at one corner and I kind of move down the page. I don't often start in the edges and work to the center, because you'll end up getting yourself in a pickle. If anything, you want to work from the center outwards or from one corner to another corner. That's usually the easiest. And then here you can see I brought in those bigger pieces again, and I'm able to just trim off a little bit of the sides of any of these that are hanging over the edges. I am choosing the ones that don't have a white border. There are plenty of them. And I'm choosing ones that don't have a sentiment or a saying or something that's very readable on it, because this is going to be a background. We're actually going to not cover this up, but use something over top of this. So this very much is creating a background. This reminds me of using the 49er Market washi tape postage stamps that I absolutely love, and I created a card. Not the next part will not be similar, but the background, creating the card like this, the background part was a little bit similar. And then there is a gorgeous tag that says hello, and I put this down on some white cardstock. I'm actually going to trim this off later on. I didn't like the white border that I created, but I thought it was going to need it to stand off the page. But it is a little tag and it says hello on it. Now I have some vellum here because we are going to complete an over the edge vellum shaker. So I have a whole sheet of vellum. I have cut my panel down to be about 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So I have a larger vellum panel here, but I have just scored all 4 edges at measuring, so that it measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches, because this is going to be one of those over the edge. It's going to cover the entire panel that we have created. Now I have some of these gorgeous flat sequins here. These have no dimension to them at all. They're just gorgeous iridescent flat sequins, and I'm going to sprinkle just a medium amount. I don't want this to be full. I still want this to be very, very flat. I don't want lots of dimension. And then I have put some double-sided tape around each one of my folds there, and I have popped my panel inside, and then these flaps are all going to attach to the back, and it's going to be an over the edge panel shaker. So something just a little bit different, and you can see those gorgeous elements behind there. It has dulled them down just ever so slightly, and then I have got a matting layer that I will also pop this on as well. So I just popped some double-sided tape. I could have used some liquid adhesive, that would have worked perfectly fine too. I use the Lawn Fawn vellum. I find it is a sort of more heavyweight vellum. It is very forgiving, and you can do embossing through embossing folders. You can heat emboss with it, so all the good things. Right, for this ticket here, I cut off the white. I have used a little punch to punch out the tiny little hole there so that I can put some string through it. This is actually some gold It's got a gold thread through it, but it is twine, and I got this from Kmart on clearance here in New Zealand. And so I'm just going to pop this through. I have adhered a little bit of tape on the back so that I can keep this just in place, and I have a little butterfly that I have fussy cut out of the cardstock, and I am going to add that as also another little element. Now I didn't want to add too many focal points to this one because I feel like the background, you don't want to miss the background. Like, we've put the effort into it, and it is a cool shaker card, and so I didn't want to take away completely from that. So something nice and simple on the front, and just a little, a little hello. As I said, I was trying to get a mixture of different cards for you here to create, rather than all just plain on a side fold normal card. So that's why I was trying to, try some fun things. And I think that is fun. When you're using the same papers over and over, it's nice to have some to change it up. I've put that down onto a white card base, and I think I definitely didn't need any more going on for this one. The only thing I am going to do is use that same twine and create a gorgeous little bow to go on the front there. I think that will just finish it off nicely. You can see those elements shake around really nicely in there, and it's nice and fun for someone to play with and move around. And then, create a little bow, pop this on the front. I use the art glitter glue, which is really nice and strong, and you just need a wee dot of it. I also love the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finish. I absolutely love that one and trust it. It's really strong. So just pop a little dot on, and this is the next card finish too. Now, remember how I said that we were going to create envelopes? Well, I want to show you how I create them. So this is a 12 by 12 piece. I just cut off that little, that little extra piece that does the describing down the bottom. And then I don't really do measurements very well. I don't love taking measurements, but this is what I do. I knew I wanted this paper here, and I wanted that extra little line, but not that sort of water staining effect that was on it. I like this sort of notepad look of this. And then I take my card that I am going to create my envelope for, and I just hold it against the card to make sure that I have enough. Now, I like to do 1/2 inch little flaps to fold in. So for example, if you have made a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card, that means it's 5.5 inches tall. I'm going to do 6.5 inches wide, and that means I do 1/2 inch score lines on each side here, and then I just hold my card where I want it to go and score a line roughly there where I'm going to fold up. You actually don't need to score the line, you can just fold it if you want to as well. And then for the top here, you don't need to, but I just use my scoring blade to get that nice folded line up the top so that it pops it down. Now this is starting to look like an envelope already. You can see how it's coming along. I'm just going to fold in each one of these edges. But before I do that, we don't need all of these flaps. So I cut off this side one, and I'm going to cut off the other side one. And then again at the top envelope flap that comes down, we also don't need the sides for that one. So you can cut that off as well. So I just fold it so I can see really well where I need to cut. So cut off those 2 extra little flaps at the side here, and then also I do want to miter the edges for those little flaps that have folded in, and this just means sort of cutting off that corner so that everything sits a little bit more nicely when you pop it all together. So just on a wee angle you can cut them off. I actually have an entire video called making your own envelopes, or how to make your own envelopes, and it shows you no matter whether you're doing a slimline card or you've got a square piece of paper or a rectangle piece of paper, that you can create your own envelopes really, really easily. So I will leave that down in the description, or just search Natasha Foote and you can find a really, really easy video on how to put envelopes together. Then when you've put some double-sided tape on those flaps, you just fold it up like that. I cut a wee curve at the top that you saw me do before, so that you can kind of grab it easily. Some people use a circle punch to cut out a wee notch so that you can grab it easily. Then I am going to make the top here a triangle shape, and so I use my zero-centered design ruler to find the center. If you're not one for measuring, then I highly recommend these. I think it's the Tim Holtz design ruler, and it is zero-centered in the middle, which is super handy for people like me when I don't want to do the maths to try and find the middle. I'm just able to use the ruler. And then I was going to gift this one, so I'm just putting a wee piece of adhesive up the top, but if you're going to mail this, I highly recommend then putting it down both sides of that triangle so that it is going to be nice and, you know, sealed shut for whatever you have. And then we have a perfect sized fitting envelope for your gorgeous cards, and it all matches. It's got that gorgeous design on the inside of the flap, which I love, and that's what I'm going to do for all of these cards. But let's have a quick look at what we've created today. So we've got a gorgeous shaker card with an over the edge vellum shaker card, and then lots of gorgeous little designs. If you've made it this far through the video, I am very impressed, but I also am very grateful. So thank you so much for being here, and I truly enjoyed today. I hope that you did too. Make sure you subscribe, and I can't wait to see some other videos with you as well. See ya, bye! Before we start today's fabulous video, I want to let you know that I have just released a brand new card making class on my website, Natasha Foote Creative.